There comes a moment when you've exhausted all your options while simultaneously coming across a product that reinvents your notion about what an honest and high-quality company looks like. The Healing Rose was the catalyst to that very moment for me. The Healing Rose Company is a female-owned Massachusetts CBD company based out of Newburyport that prides themselves in using only the best USDA-certified organically sourced ingredients for their vast line of therapeutic products. Their line stretches from lip balms, tinctures, skin balms, roll-on oils, and bath products. Their transparency places them above the rest with third-party tested results showcasing their intolerance to toxic pesticides, solvents, metals, and harmful elements. They provide full-spectrum CBD in many of their products, excluding their tinctures, which carry a broad spectrum profile, ideal for not having to worry about any low-level THC, which is common for many CBD products. That one's my favorite, and it's good on the palate. Full spectrum means that they extract from the hemp plant an array of different therapeutic cannabinoids along with CBD and their profile terpenes. The combination results in a greater outcome of healing and relaxation for any individual's needs. Whether you are an athlete looking for any recovery advantage, a patient in need of some relief to remind yourself that you are still a warrior, or someone who sees the frontiers of life with a little reserve and want to calm the mental storms that keep you from personally exploring, the Healing Rose CBD Company is here for your full body and mind optimization. Please visit thehealingroseco.com to explore their diverse line of products and support one of New England's best rising stars in an industry where ethics are fundamental, and a company like this will only be found sitting at the throne of it all. Use the code SAGAS, S-A-G-A-S, for 10% off your purchase. Again, visit thehealingroseco.com and use the promo code SAGAS at checkout for 10% off your purchase. To the many martial artists, entrepreneurs, dreamers, and thinkers, how often, for your own sake, would you love a symbolic reminder of your mentality and the perfect dichotomy to match? Murder Nerd is an independent clothing apparel line that represents the sharp, relentless focus towards personal growth and athletics. It embodies the vitality of their creative owners and the network of people who run on the same frequency. Why not elevate your frequency in comfort and style? Visit www.murdernerdsfitness.com for their personal line of shirt and hat wear. Enter the promo code SAGAS, S-A-G-A-S, for 10% off your purchase. Again, visit murdernerdfitness.com and enter the promo code SAGAS for 10% off your purchase. My goodness, here we are, back at it again. What a week. What a time, really. Oh, man. So let's see. So, this is something that I am... This is a weird one. I hope I can get this out, I guess, in the best way that I can, because I'm conflicted, like, all through it, really. And I bring this up because of a lot of just recent events. And what I want to kind of dive into is, like, exploring the mindset that becomes attracted to a conspiracy, right? And I bring this up because there's a lot of the conversation, and it's a huge conversation, really. But a good portion of it, of this conversation about the raid with the Capitol that happened in January. You know, and this raid was perpetuated by the president, and it had a lot of different people in that riot that were huge supporters of the president, but that were also a huge part of just this fringe edge of a demographic of people that they just take so much stock in these like malevolent kind of theories about events or elites or people or whatever, really. I mean, there's a conspiracy just about almost everything and anything, whether it's Bigfoot or the moon or the UFO or, you know, it can just go on and on and on and on. You know, and it's like, I forget who said it, but somebody said it perfect. It was like, the disgrace that we had on that day, really, what you got was a Pizzagate on the Capitol steps. Because Pizzagate was this whole thing where this guy went to this, I don't even know what it was called, some pizza shop, Comet Pizza Shop, whatever the fuck that's called. He went there with a weapon, hoping to find a basement full of children because he thought that this was a hub for like a child sex trafficking scheme or operation. And then when he got there, all that was there was pizza, you know? So it's crazy. And what you had at the steps were a lot of people that were into this QAnon conspiracy that I know just the bare bones about it. But a lot of it kind of deals with the same themes of these elitist politicians who are running child sex rings. And, you know, it just goes on and on and on into just different power moves from the deep state and all the weird different mechanisms that go on in there. And that's what you got, and that's what happened, because nothing came to fruition, right? And it was, you know, and that's kind of a whole nother topic, really, in of itself. And I don't want to get into it too much right now, but I do want to dive into, I guess you would call it just the different cultural momentums that led to that moment, because it wasn't just one circus leader just kind of pointing the finger and having everybody go there. You know, there was a lot of buildup that includes kind of what I'm talking about now with this, you know, psychology of conspiracy. You know, there was a lot more to that. And I think it's settling to the mind to be able to kind of simplify it. And I see a lot of people doing that. And I think in simplifying it, it just kind of feeds their narrative, and it just, you know, it's the same old game. It was despicable and it was bad, but to not think of it with just a wider scope is kind of a, you know, it's still kind of short-sighted, you know. The easy outrage to it is easy to kind of perpetuate your party, your narrative, whatever it is. And though that may be true in the greater conversation, there's still more to be had. There's still more about it. And I would like to explore that. But, so like, you know, I bring this up because for a while, I did this. I used to love looking up conspiracies. And they weren't like crazy ones. They were more just, they were more that kind of focused on, for me, it was always about the government. It was always about the government. For some reason, I wanted some kind of, I don't know. I mean, it always just felt like some kind of baseless pseudo confirmation that these people were kind of like social engineering us all, you know. They would be bad actors. They would do these things, horrific things, to kind of push forward some policy or anything like that, right? The biggest one that people talk about is 9/11, right? Maybe not the biggest one, but, you know, that's a huge one. which then kind of spirals into the Patriot Act, which then spirals into weapons of mass destruction, which ended up being false, which now makes everything even more confusing, right? Because that was a whole fucking lie in itself. So, it's... And every time I did it, there was something about it that it felt good. It felt good to feel like I was on the verge of discovering something that maybe not a lot of people have. And then what can I do with this information? Can I protect myself in the future? Can I prime my perceptual mind to being able to see certain things, or see beyond certain things when they occur, if they happened around me or in the future? Would it aid in me being able to read politicians better so that I can vote better? Would it push me to educate myself more about the branches of government, the policies, who runs what district, what's happening in those districts, whatever it was. And it did. It felt good to feel like I knew something, even though in the end, no matter how hard I try to kind of solidify a certain idea, it was always it always just kind of concluded with like my best assumed, like the most best assumed outcome, right? All this information kind of builds up and leads up to this idea, this theory, that this plausible thing could happen. And and honestly, it really didn't get me far. It actually it can kind of spiral you into more of paranoia, right? You're conditioning and priming your mind to wanting to see something else. You want to assign, what would you call it? You want to assign things to an actual intention, an intentional motive, and opposed to something that is of a random circumstance. It just feels good on the mind. It you don't want things to just kind of be in limbo. We always want an answer to things. And I'd be curious to see kind of like if there's a difference between genders and who kind of falls into these conspiracy theory wormholes. I do wonder that, and I wonder if I don't know. I guess I could go back and forth, because what I'm finding is like it's reflective of wanting control, and I'm going to expand on that, and I'm just going to use myself. And yeah, I'm going to assume a little bit of some other people, but I'm going to just really try to use myself here. Because when I was really deep into this, like I said, it reflected me wanting to have control. And it was also at a time where I was incredibly dissatisfied with a lot of shit. Like, things aren't going my way. Life just kind of feels like a rinse and repeat. It's got this just rinse and repeat momentum where you just repeat the day, you do the same thing. There's a lack of adventure. There's an amount of just an existential anxiety over things. And really just an over contemplation of just purpose and meaning. And sometimes that all kind of gets funneled into this one place where you feel like, for one, you're special. You know, you're a little different because you have kind of traveled and explored the Pandora's caves and found these unbelievable jewels of truth that no one has seen yet. And it feels good. And you have it. And you're kind of now the hero of this like new story you're making. And it just makes me wonder, like, if that's a little bit of a personality profile to people that are attracted to this. If it's a lot of people that are just looking for control in their life because of a lack of control outside that they perceive in their life. And whether that comes from, like I said, at least in my case, just an over contemplation of just all around your livelihood and how you feel, you know, and wanting to feel smart, right? I know something that you don't know. And now I hold this nugget of truth that I can wield onto people so that we may all kind of get together and rise up and come out of our sheeple frequency of mind, right? Because this is also another community that's incredibly demeaning to people too, right? You feel you find the truth and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, society's a bunch of fucking morons. You know, they don't know how to read information. They don't know how to go looking for certain things. Don't you see how this person is tricking you? You know, this and that and this and that. You know, so there's a personality type, and it's weird because I know smart people. I know good people that fall for these easily. And they go very deep with them too. And they enjoy them. And maybe it's just kind of like a hobby for them, right? It's because some of these are just so ridiculous, right? When you start talking about lizard people and having this idea that, oh, I just saw a shapeshift happen in front of me right on CNN. I just saw it. You know, this is like, it just gets so wild. And when you throw those kind of theories into theories that actually were legit, it just kind of ruins the whole thing. You know, because again, I don't want to throw everything out with this one thing and just say, well, if you believe in any conspiracy theory, you're of this makeup, right? Because in the end, what you're believing is false. Because whether you see it as fortunate or unfortunate, a lot of conspiracy theories have come to be true, right? Like old ones, like weird old ones, where people used to put poison in booze, right? Like during Prohibition, the government used to poison the alcohol to keep people from drinking it. That was true. That ended up becoming true. That was like, a big one. A big one that people still explore here, and it's actually still expanding, is like governmental mind control. Like, the government's trying to control you in all these different kind of ways, whether it's through propaganda, through media, or just whatever other influential avenues that they use, right? Music. The music industry. The Illuminati runs it. They're giving you all these messages to kind of turn you into a hypersexualized degenerate, whatever it is, you know. Some of these kind of like processes of taking in information with an immature mind might lead to some behavior, but that's just development in psychology. I don't know if it's actually all intentional to make us all fucking just kind of like ignorant and stupid. But the mind control one is true, right? Like, the government, specifically branches of it, the CIA, defense, you call it like, I don't know what you would call it, intelligence agencies, right? The CIA, they used to use LSD, right, for experimenting with like behavior modifications. They did this on soldiers. They used universities to implement these things, like Harvard University. This is how we all got Ted Kaczynski, right? If you've ever read his manifesto, which is, you know, unfortunately kind of brilliant. But if you've ever read his manifesto, or even this new Netflix series, I guess, like, they fried his brain when he went to college. This is a guy who had a higher IQ than Einstein, and they fried his brain, right? Did that lead him to do some of the things he did? I have no idea. You know, this is a guy who felt like he was waging a war against this future entity of Skynet and thought that technology was going to be the downfall of people. Hey, some people would not totally disagree with that idea if you break down that idea, because he was a brilliant man. Unfortunately, his means really didn't justify what his overall goal really is or was. You know, and there's a name for these programs. It was called like MK Ultra. A new book was just released of 20 years worth of research tracing the MK Ultra program to, what the hell is his name? Charles Manson. And it's just this whole crazy intricate thing. But these are real things, and they were really trying to control people and using behavior modification tactics. For what reason? I personally don't really know, you know, but it's not a huge stretch to want to think that this government wants to understand people to many different degrees. And in which ways they do that, you know, some of them, they may not want us to know, because it is a way of looking at the human psyche. It is a way of looking at just like what you can do to people. And if you're trying to manage millions and millions of people, the responsibility of that may kind of lean you into just unintentional, nefarious kind of practices. That to me is terrifying, scary. So these are real. These are real conspiracies, right? John Lennon was under surveillance by the government. That was true. And the big one that we, all of us kind of wondered was, is the government spying on you? Bing, bang, boom. That came to fruition, you know, and then years later, it has now surfaced to the point where internal courts are now saying that it wasn't justified and it's against the Constitution to spy on American people. It's crazy how far that one has gone. Where before it was just kind of like a tinfoil thing, you know? Yeah, they spy on us like fucking crazy. And the arms of that phenomenon are all these social media companies. You know, everybody's with it, everybody's into it. You know, so these are easy ones to go down the rabbit hole with. But there's legitimacy to them. But some of them don't. And the ones that don't are the ones that can be very scary. I mean, even when I'm talking about these, what makes this hard is that this whole Pizzagate thing, the fucking QAnon bullshit, these psychopaths that did what they did at the Capitol. What puts a wrench in this whole thing is, who is Jeffrey Epstein? What the fuck did he do? And what is happening in the circle of his friends, and who are they? So then as you explore that, I mean, the guy got in trouble for a reason, right? His right-hand woman got in trouble for a reason. There's a list of people for a reason. There's a flight log for a reason. That island doesn't look the way it does for no reason. That's terrifying. And these are things that are just kind of foreign to us because we're just people trying to survive. I'm just trying to make a payment on my truck and pay this water bill and, punch in on time at work, come home and Netflix and chill, whatever the fuck you want to do. When at the upper echelons of whatever you want to call it, living, financial wealth, power and money just kind of, it transforms people. And I don't know if it manifests more of what that person always was, or if it literally morphs that person. Because the ability to desensitize just your entire psyche from having all the money that you could ever imagine, and the things that you act upon because of that, that's how I think you get down the road of kind of like doing some of that shit with these underage people. That is fucking nuts to me. But that's real. That's all there. That's all real. Unfortunately, we bridge this one legitimate thing to then now all of this Pizzagate, all this other stuff, It feels good because we're going after the bad guy. And I have the truth. And I guess, I don't know, it's just... I don't know, like, I've been there before, and now that I don't poo-poo it all together. I try to look at them as responsible as I can. I don't, I try not to shit on people who kind of subscribe to it easily, but in thinking about it mindfully, it helps me, I guess it just kind of helps me see more of just what I continuously see. And I know I've said this before, but this is just kind of where I come from. Like, this is a symptom of just hurt people. Something has happened where these people have been hurt and they're latching on to ideas so that they don't feel useless or lonely or purposeless. And because these are ideas that can attract people that don't have the sharpest, what would I call it? They don't have the sharpest mind in the logic department, right? Critical thinking. And that's no knock on them. I'm not incredibly logical with all of my ideas. I don't always run on my highest frequency, whatever that is. But it's just easier to get there if you haven't addressed some of maybe the traumas in your life. Address some of just the dissatisfaction of your life. Maybe you're not traumatized, but maybe life just sucks. And you're just not where you thought you were going to be. And you're just constantly bombarded with just adult responsibility that just kind of is just kind of soul crushing. You had other ideas of what you were going to do and what you were going to be and what you were engaged in, what you were going to achieve. And now life is just kind of like this low hum. And you're just looking for anything to add some excitement, because this shit is exciting. It is exciting. Because we already go into it with a bias of just hating rich people anyways. Or most people, Because you can't be a good person, an altruistic person, and be rich. Like, that's like impossible to some people for some reason. And I get why, because, with money you gain power and you can kind of get more of what you want. You can't stand that you're represented less in this world than other people. All because of their monetary gains, That's infuriating. I fucking hate that. I still hate it. Everybody should hate that. Because that's what goes on in the walls of our government constantly. constantly. But to go down these roads, I empathize for these people. But the problem is that when these things kind of turn into action, when there is no moment of self-reflection and the kind of breaking in that chain, and then never mind having somebody who is in a position to be a leader and then to then perpetuate that bad thinking, to get a lot of people on the same page to then start hurting people or doing things like you saw at the Capitol, right? This fucking guy has constantly pushed conspiracy theories before he was even the president. But, it's kind of on par with everything that I'm saying, right? Yeah, this guy might be able to achieve all of these crazy things, but that motherfucker's hurt. You're looking at a traumatized, powerful man right there. And to elect him as president kind of says that you have a traumatized country. And I think it's just kind of, it's just good to I guess contemplate where you yourself would come from in wanting to believe these things, because I've totally done this. And you don't feel good. I can feel when I was really heavy into that, it's like, it's all stressful. It's all scary. It all feels like life is meaningless because you're just kind of a pawn in this game, and you just come out of the womb as just a target for marketing, and your whole life and existence is just all about materialism and consumerism, and just the list goes on and on and on and on and on. You could choose to think that way if you take stock in some of these phenomenons, right? Yeah, propaganda, marketing, it's all annoying, but we don't need to think that it's the driver of our story. We don't have to think that way. It's there for us to take in if we want to, or totally disregard it if we want to. You can disregard it. Almost all of it. And it's... and I've talked to a couple people about this, and it's where it always goes, and I always bring it here, and this is where it becomes laughable, because the details into getting to the theory are intricate and amazing and just well crafted. But then the one question of just like, well, what's the end game? Like, who benefits from doing all of this? There's a lack of, there is no answer. Oh, well, it's just globalism. Oh, it's just the Illuminati. They just want to control us. Okay. You know what? Like, let's just pretend you're right. They want to control you. All right. So you're controlled. You are controlled right now with your fucking awesome pickup truck. Your job that pays you pretty decent. You've got fucking cable. You've got the internet, right? You've got your friends on the weekends. You've got your vacation time. You've got your vices that you can enjoy here and there. You have, for the most part, at least for now, your freedom of speech. Go ahead, control me. If my destiny was to be in the fucking upper levels of society, I guess I would have already been there. But my controlled life here right now is fine. If I am being duped into feeling that I have freedom, then I love this duped freedom. Because I'm still doing everything that I actually want to do. Like, if you expose this, what do you think? Where do you think you're going to be if this all kind of comes to fruition? You think your life is going to be better? Were you meant to be something else? If the boot and the thumb of these all-powerful, maniacal people weren't kind of being pressed onto your forehead, would you really be somewhere else? I'd see that as a little bit of a fucking excuse. take responsibility, man. And it still just doesn't make sense in the end anyways. Because you don't have any good answers. The end game answer is always the worst part of the whole fucking thing. But, like I said earlier, it's like, I don't throw all of this away. And it's hard not to contemplate this stuff, because never more than now, people are looking just to feel control. Do you know how little fucking control people feel like they have right now with this whole pandemic? Oh, it lives on the surface. No, it doesn't. Oh, the masks work. Oh, wait, no, I don't think the masks work. Oh, you should use zinc and hydrochloroquine. Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't say that. No, you can't do this. Can't do that. We should wait here. We should wait there. You need a vaccine. Oh, I can't get the vaccine. Oh, why not? Oh, it's because it might hurt me. Well, it's going to work here. Go in, go out. 10 people, 25 people. Wait, the governor was just seen at the restaurant. Yeah, but you can't go. Oh, okay. Stay 6 feet away. But you can all get on a plane. Oh, shit, wait. No, what? It's just corroding. It's making everybody just go so fucking crazy. And maybe the most patient of us all are doing the best, because they're willing to just fucking sit still. They're just stoic statues through this whole pandemic. No need for any reason to be social. No reason to commute to work. You can make your fucking money from the comforts of your couch and your laptop in your fucking underwear. Right? And you love it. And it's fine. And now fucking, what is it called? Grubhub. DoorDash. They're like your best friend now. We don't have to do shit anymore. Maybe you're comfortable with that. That's fine. But for most people, it's really bending their mind because of a lack of control. And this situation is an easy situation for people to be like, what is this about? What is happening? I have way too many questions. And then you're just going to feed your bias, because you're going to find other people that kind of agree with you, and you're like, yeah, you know what, this was made in a lab. Yeah, you know what, yeah, this is a population controlled fucking tactic, whatever you want to call it. It just goes down and down and down and down, all perpetuated by just fear, and feeling a sense of loss in yourself or your life. That's what it feels like. I don't want to lose my life. I like my life. I don't want to lose what I feel like I have. So I need to find a reason for this. And I'm going to grab and reach for every straw that I can. And in the process, some people are going to reach for that same straw and other people aren't. And in that process, we are now going to make tribal enemies. Because we're going to turn all of this into infighting. And when I mean infighting, I mean just human fighting. Because we're all here together. We're running on the same software. Oh, man. So, I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially with that whole fiasco. And I just felt like I needed to flesh out just my own biases towards this whole thing, because this still confuses me. I try to be as good as I can with information. I don't want to be tricked, but I also don't want to trick myself. And I want to paper trail the process of how someone can trick themselves. And like a lot of things, it comes down from conditioning and emotions. And just people wanting to survive, survival mechanisms, And in the end, it's like, I don't know, like I said, it's good to understand these so that you yourself don't get caught up in something that becomes dangerous, or someone you care about gets caught up in something dangerous. And if little pieces of these kind of attributes in a profile make sense, then we can kind of know, like, all right, I know you feel this way, and then maybe I know why. And it's okay that you do, but like, let's just flesh this out together, like have a good conversation with somebody who really subscribes to these things Because I find that some people either hide this away in their little kind of hobby box and don't want to talk to people about it, or they become loud and proud about it. And these are the obnoxious ones. And, empathize with them. Hear them out. Maybe not try to win, but just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if, I don't have an answer for this. All I know is that, like, it's just another point of conversation that we have to be better at. There's a lot of points of conversation, different things that we need to talk about, that we're just constantly bad at talking. And this is why we're getting to where we are. Whether it's politics or religion or sex or fucking rights or this or that. Everything breaks down because the two parties that are trying to talk to each other, they don't know how to speak to each other. They just want to go over each other. Somebody wants to win. And it's just another place where we can just kind of try to practice being our best version of ourselves and finding a way to navigate that conversation with our best intentions so that we get kind of the best outcome, whatever that looks like. Because people just want to be heard, man. People just want to be heard. They want somebody to hear them. Like me. I want to be heard, All right, guys. Well, I hope everything's going all right. We got a lot of different things happening, movements happening, shifts going on. So I hope that we're getting around a corner that's very much needed for all of us. And then we can kind of get back to hanging out and doing the things that we do and doing them better, appreciating each other better, loving each other more, and finding a way to just kind of be willing to get into these deep conversations gracefully, because this shit isn't going to end. It's just going to get worse if we don't work on being able to speak to each other with a good mind, and I guess a good heart too, really. All right, guys, peace and love. Enjoy yourself. I'll see you next time.